I'd like to call the Special Commission on Veterans Affairs. I'd like to call the Special Commission on Veterans Affairs to order for Thursday, July 11, 2024. It is about 4:32 right now. Can we have roll call?
Chairman Bouchard,
Present.
Vice Chairman Taylor,
Here.
Officer Amici is absent. Ms. Nima,
Here.
we have three present, one absent.
Thank you very much. Welcome, members. Glad, I hope that you're enjoying your summer this July. And just wanted to, for us to review our agenda for today. If there's anything else that you would like to bring up, especially for the next couple of discussion over the next couple of months leading up to November. So the first item on the agenda is the discussion relative to additional members of the commission. I haven't received any names yet, so what I'll do is move that to our next meeting. And so if there's no objection with that, I'll certainly, or unless there's any recommendations, yes.
Being that we know that we have a list of veterans that are in the city that are getting some form of capitalization, they would have the best interest in this process. I recommend we take a look at that list and find a female veteran or family member or those type of family, which is those things, all things purposes from that list, and let's lose that as a starting point.
I agree with that. So we will review that and by next meeting, we definitely, that's our cutoff.
Yes, sir.
Certainly looking for members that are vested in it and will participate in discussion, also in the planning of future events. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could just note for the record that we are joined by Assistant City Solicitor Susanna Skolnick via Zoom.
Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome. We're also part of the agenda is to review our current residents receiving municipal veterans benefits in the city of Providence. And we're also going to have Suzanne talk a little bit about the section 21-128.1 of the Providence City Code, item number 2. So essentially, if we can just have Aaron just to speak about the numbers in terms of the veterans and the information that you have discovered within your research, and also just a recap in a sense of what are the benefits that our veterans have.
Okay, yeah, so there is a tax exempt benefit.
Can you just come closer so that way we can have it recorded? I know sometimes I listen to the audio at home and it's muffled. People really don't hear what, at least the people, veterans like us also have. Is in our ear.
Absolutely. Yes, with some of the preliminary research we did in the council office, we did find that there are 1,075 individuals within the city that are receiving a veteran tax exemption. But that list includes veterans, widows of veterans, Gold Star families, in addition to disabled veterans. So they're all included in that list that the city has had.
Great, thank you. And there's no other benefits that they're receiving that you found through your research in the city of Providence?
No other benefits outside of what is actually in the code of ordinances. And then as of right now, what we're actually trying to do is take a look at the actual application of that law. We're going to see what actually may need to be changed at the state level to affect our ordinance.
Do you know what is that total amount of dollars that people are receiving on veterans? Is that calculated?
So I understand that as it's interpreted now in the city, there is a $15,000 exemption, but it is not, as I understand it, what the assessor's office explained, it is not a $15,000 cash, exemption. Is actually $15,000 worth of property value that is actually exempted. So it doesn't end up being as much as you would imagine personally. And Susanna, she actually did draft a memo with all of this background, and she is available to present on that as well to speak about it. Memo that we shared.
Any question of senior advisor?
Yes, sir. So this is great. Thank you. So where does these numbers compare with the other cities in the state?
Let's see, honestly, throughout the code, throughout the general laws in the state, there are literally maybe 20 different cities and towns that have specific exemptions. I can't call out the exact amounts, but, what is afforded to Providence should, it seems like to line up with the rest of the cities and towns.
I recommend that we take this list and compare it on a piece of paper somewhere. Cranston, Johnston, Warwick, and let's see where City of Providence stacks relative to those other three cities that I mentioned. And let's see that as a base of comparison. So for this committee, it's okay, where are we relative to those three cities? Is this good, bad, or different, and where we need to go? That be the benchmark for potentially making amendments.
Right, absolutely, and as we, take a look at the interpretation of the, statute and the actual amounts, that will allow us to inform us of what we would like to potentially change at the state level. But what we can't do file is we can't have like a table side by side of the actual exemption the city and town, offers to, their veterans. We can actually put that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? And we can do that. I also would like at this time to recognize our Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris, who is joining us. Her husband is a veteran, so I think he's lost somewhere. Maybe he's coming. So welcome. Also, we're joined by our city solicitor, top city solicitor, Jeff David. Thank you for being here. The next item on the agenda is discussion relative to the interpretation and application of section 21-128.1 of the City Code of Ordinance. And I believe the assistant solicitor, Susan, is going to enlighten us in regarding this ordinance.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Commission. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I apologize that I can't be with you there in person. I'm actually with you from New Jersey this afternoon. But yes, I did have an opportunity to do some research on the status of the tax exemptions that are available both in Providence and more generally at the state level, which I think goes to Director Yarn's comment earlier during this meeting that it may be instructive to the commission to kind of get a sense of where Providence's exemptions fit in the overall scheme of exemptions that are being provided to veterans more generally throughout our state. Based on my research, it does appear that the exemptions that Providence is currently offering are on the lower end of the exemptions that are offered to veterans more generally in the state. I don't exactly know how the amount of the exemptions are set. I imagine that it has a lot to do with property values, and that when each municipality gets together to decide what exemption they will enact, there's many calculations that go into what tax rates are feasible for each municipality. So that is kind of outside the scope of my research. However, what I can tell you is that the property tax exemption that is available to veterans living in Providence is $6,000. It's generally a $3,000 exemption. For veterans who are deemed to be totally disabled by the VA, it is a $6,000 exemption. And it's worth noting that that $6,000 amount is actually slightly lower than the amount that is available to veterans throughout the state. In other words, the statute provides that there is a $1,000 general exemption for veterans throughout the state. Providence's exemption, specifically for Providence veterans, is slightly higher, $3,000, as I said. However, the amount of the exemption for disabled veterans in the state is $10,000, but with Providence, we see that number dip slightly to $6,000. And if you all have a copy of my memo in front of you, it may be easier to see some of these numbers laid out, but
Yes, Susan, if I
yes,
may, just
Yes,
for
please.
for our purpose.
Yes.
And just, the members have the memo in front of you.
yes,
Do we have to submit this into, the
Correct.
record?
Correct.
So we'll mark this item number 1. Thank you. You may proceed.
thank you, yes. So, the exemptions that are available generally in Rhode Island are codified at 44-3-4 of the general laws. And that's where we see that $1,000 general exemption and the $10,000 exemption for totally disabled veterans. The exemptions that are available to Providence veterans specifically are enacted are codified in a different section of the statute, 44-3-31. That's where we see the $3,000 exemption generally for veterans and the $6,000 exemption for veterans who are totally disabled. Those are the exemptions that are currently available to veterans in Providence, and this is why. We do have 2 ordinances on the books purporting to provide exemptions at higher amounts than these. However, unfortunately, based on my research, I find that these ordinances are invalid and void because they because the way the state statute is enacted, there is no authority given to Providence to have enacted the high levels of exemptions that it purported to do in the Code of Ordinances. In other words, because of the statute that we just talked about, the state statute 44-3-4, because Providence, or sorry, not 44, or rather, 44-3-31, because that statute specifies the exemptions that are available to Providence. The Code of Ordinances, the City Council did not have the proper authority to enact more generous exemptions than the state statute allowed. Aaron and I met with Janice, our tax assessor here, and she concurred with this interpretation that the ordinances are not valid. She is not currently enforcing them. And so it seems that the tax exemption amounts that we're kind of stuck with at the moment are the ones provided by the state statute rather than by ordinance. And then finally, Mr. Chair, if you could just allow me to say, my memo also addresses the proper procedure by which the administration could theoretically advocate for higher exemptions, but that would have to be done at the state level for the reasons I've spoken about, because we need that authority to come from the statute. And so I have concluded that this would mean that there would need to be advocacy and legislation proposed to the General Assembly.
Thank you very much for that thorough explanation, and I think it's appropriate and just timely that we have a better understanding of this state law compared to city ordinance, and that gives us the tool to have some discussion, and also for the next session, well, we can propose to actually have that tool.
So, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for the summary, and I concur with her assessment as well. Just piggyback on that too, so historically, other cities and towns have done that, then gone this path. They've identified a sponsor to sponsor the bill for both the Senate and the House. It goes through the process, because this is what the city or town recommends. And so they've already got the sponsor to put the bill in. And so from the General Assembly perspective, they will not push back, because this is what the state, this is what the town wants.
Right.
So, and they have the enabling legislation that's already in place that facilitate that. So it's just a matter of which reps and senators you want to sponsor this bill. Obviously, they represent the city of Providence, obviously, and then go from there.
All right, and Aaron?
I could comment, like I concur with the director director said, it's like, yeah, this is what the city wants, council, administration agree, they generally just move those items forward. And, you know, once we come back and we have side by side comparison to the other cities in town, it will be difficult to have something drafted that can be vetted in this committee, this commission, I should say, and we can certainly have it ready to be introduced at the general assembly in January. I'd be certainly happy to help with that.
Absolutely, and, no, I served in the Senate and I concur with that process. Once we have the legislation, we identify our both House and Senate member who can shepherd this through. Again, this is what we would take in the next meeting to see draft and more conversation. I'd also like to have the opportunity to speak to the mayor and also finance, just to look at the numbers and what that could actually continue to have that conversation on what some of those additional benefits that the veterans can have in the city of Providence. Any other questions, comments? Great, thank you. Susanna, thank you very much for your presentation and being with us. I hope that you're in New Jersey, and
Yes.
that you're with your family, and this was one of the shortest meetings that you've attended. So, and you are being by your top your boss here is Jeff Dana. So you can disconnect if you would like, because Jeff will be with us. My understanding, so you can continue to enjoy your time with your family.
All right, you're in good hands. Thank you so much. See you next month.
Thank you. See you next month. All right.
No, I'm going next one.
No, actually, it will be in September. Yes. Then the last item, number 3, is discussion relative to future activities of the commission. I think that we have our duties is for the next meeting is to, one, get the some of the language and review for the next agenda item, and also some discussion in reference to our November 7th Veterans Day here at the City Hall. Any other comments, questions? And lastly, just to remind everybody, there is no meeting in August. The next meeting that will take place will be September 12th. Then after that, October 10th, and then our event on November 7th. Seeing no further business, any other business that you would like to discuss? Any business? Seeing that there's no business.
Adjourn.
Motion has been made by Councilman Taylor, seconded by Director Yarn, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.